They know you're not going to take it. They distract you. Talk about the merc captains. This is their business. They know what's in that oil field. Now, keep in mind, this is different. This formation is totally different than what they normally do. It was not a gas formation. Now, if it was a gas formation, what does that mean? It means for thousands of years, that gas was contained in that formation. It's pretty safe to store there because if you know what the formation will do. This formation was an oil formation, never a gas formation. But it's worse than that. Do you know how many wells are out there in this area that are closed wells that they didn't remediate? What that means, they didn't seal them. They didn't pour concrete in them or they didn't collapse them like the law requires. There's hundreds of them reaching into that formation. Many of them leak. This is not a new problem. How many before this happened smelled gas? Don't be drinking that water. I wouldn't worry about that. And that's why it's a violation of the State Water Drinking Act, what they did. Remember, these are federal crimes. They're state crimes. People go to prison for this. Where's the DA? Where's the Attorney General? There's a reason they're not here. One of the reasons is just politics. But the other reason is 20 million people are serviced by that field. And the reason I'm telling you that is that shouldn't be your problem. But you need to understand what we're up against. It's not black and white. It's not an easy decision. And it's not going to have an easy resolution. But make no mistake about this. The children of this community are breathing poison gas every day. Now, it's just a little bit of poison. How many does that make feel better? The horrendous nature of this. You know, I've been a lawyer a really long time. I have dealt with deception my whole career. But I can honestly tell you, I have never dealt with anything this despicable. Because it's families, it's children, it's who we are. And to conceal it, to cover it up, to minimize it, to distract people from where the real problem is. At some point, you have to say money doesn't matter. You know, there has to be something of a higher value. So what we're trying to do is fix that first. Figure out a way to relocate people and keep in mind what they owe you. They owe this to you. Comparable housing. And there's no reason they can't do it except it costs a lot of money, right? I mean, the LA real estate market is expensive. You didn't ask for this. They did this to you. My first goal in this is to make them come to the table and give you the housing now of everybody who wants it. You may make the decision, it doesn't affect you that much, but it should be your decision. It's not enough to say the ratepayers shouldn't pay for this, and they shouldn't, by the way. What is enough is to say start mitigating the damages today. This is going to cost them billions of dollars. We've done this many times. We know what's going to happen. They know what's probably going to happen. It would cost them so much less if they took care of you now. What you're asking for is not unreasonable. We think we're going to get there in a lot of respects through the court, but you got to go through the steps. You know, we've made these mistakes already in other cases where we didn't file the right notice. where we didn't do dot one I or cross a T. Fortunately, we know now because the learning curve's over. We filed the notice. We've asked Dogger, do we have that? We've asked them to stop injecting into that formation.
Thank you.
Good point. We've asked them to notify us, Dogger to notify us, that yes, they've stopped injecting, that we've ordered them to stop injecting. No response. No response. We've asked them to disclose what chemicals they're detecting. I don't want to hear about mercaptans. I want to know what poison gases are coming out of that well at the wellhead 24 hours a day. The reason why the damages in your health isn't much worse off is because it goes like this.
Yeah.
You know, it goes with the wind, goes with what they're releasing when they release it. And so you don't have a continuous exposure. But nobody knows what the long-term effects of this is for healthy people. We know exactly what it is for sick people. And there are sick people in your communities. We want them to confirm no other injection activities by other operators, because there's other operators other than just Southern California Gas. Is there anybody here who thinks that's unreasonable, those three things? They refuse. This is our government that is refusing to do this. And that's why we've sued the state. We've sued Dogger. Those three things. And at the end of the day, that field has to close because they cannot control the leaks. It is not enough to say, here's this much money for whatever you experienced for those few months. First of all, you've been experiencing it for years and didn't know it. It just wasn't bad enough. And the other thing that I personally have just such great difficulty with is, these are crimes. For a month and a half, they knew this was pouring into your community. What did they do? Let's imagine for a minute this. We're in our car, we're driving towards a crowd of people, safely, no big deal, and our accelerator sticks. And then we put our foot on the brake, and it fails. And we deliberately decide not to honk the horn. Isn't that what they did? That is a crime. You cannot deliberately hurt people. You cannot deliberately allow gas to pour into their homes and do nothing. Understand the magnitude of what has been done to this community. And if you've ever joined an organization, join these two groups. Fight for your homes, fight for your future. Because no matter what happens, you will never get the value of your homes that it should be. Who wants to live here now? Right? Let's face the facts of what happened and let's hold them accountable for it. Now, a lot of you are hearing, well, that's the class action. We have a personal injury. Let me explain that to you. The class action is a very good vehicle for what's called inverse condemnation, meaning the loss of property value. That's the smallest part of the case. You will have to file individually if you want your damages, if you suffered any. If you haven't suffered any, stay out of it. You know, if you felt no ill effects from this, stay out of it. This should be really real. But if you have, if your businesses have suffered, how many businesses do you think will be bankrupt by the time that leak is sealed? Most businesses cannot survive without income for 3 months.
How many homeowners will be?
Exactly. Exactly.
The home value. The mortgage.
I'm sorry, what?
The mortgage payments are so good.
They have the ability to take care of all of it. All it takes is the governor to make them. It's not like he's powerless. These were federal crimes before. The last thing on the law says, I want you to talk to a lot of law firms. I don't want you signing with our firm until you've talked to a lot of law firms. You are not buying a used car. You are making a decision that will affect your family's future for as long as your family lives, because it's such a long-term impact. Make an intelligent decision. What I would like you to do is come Tuesday night and bring your friends, because who we have there is we have a consultant we hired who used to work for Dogger, and she retired. And she will tell you exactly what they did wrong, exactly what laws they didn't follow, and exactly what power the state has to help you that they are not exercising. You will also hear from the premier guy who understands the chemistry of this even better than Patricia. And he will answer all of your questions. That's why I would like you to come. Because when you understand the magnitude of what is really going on, you will act. You will join these groups and you will make them fix this. Because right now you're thinking this is really just a small inconvenience. When I say that, it's inconvenient if it's money. When it is the health of your family, it is the most serious thing that can happen. And as I'm speaking to you, I wish I was speaking someplace else, because we're all breathing that thing.
Can I ask you a question? Every 24 hours that goes by, I'm getting more and more panicked about my son's health.
Louder, I'm sorry.
Every day that goes by, I don't want to relocate. I mean, do you know how quick that you would be able to expedite them?
I can tell you what
Because every day that goes by, I'm getting more and more worried about my son.
That's right. I can tell you what I've done.
Okay.
I brought some other law firms in that are the people that I would go to, you know, the people that I've tried
Okay.
cases with that I think are just superb. Brian Panish, anybody know who he is? The Jackson family hired him on that case, to give you an idea. We're bringing in some out-of-state people. On Tuesday, we hope we're going to have, I don't know, he hasn't agreed to come yet, but we've asked Robert Kennedy to come. You know, he knows more about it. Hopefully he will. You know, I'm not saying he will be, but all of the questions will be answered there. And I would like you to bring the rest of the community, because you need to know. I just want you to be informed. And at that point, you can start making correct decisions. None of us are going to like those decisions. You know, a few years ago, I'm better now, but I had prostate cancer. So I'm looking at all the options, you know, and I'm telling the doctor, well, that doesn't sound very attractive to me, when he was telling me what I had to do. And he said, none of these options are attractive. None of these options are going to be comfortable for you. And that's kind of where you are. You have to pick the best option. And if you have small children, we need to get you relocated.
Yes, and nobody calls back.
But I don't know how yet. I can tell you what we're doing. We're talking, what we're trying to get is the elected officials to order Southern California Gas to make an arrangement with realtors to put you in comparable housing. How hard is that?
It's not. I had a realtor actually email Patricia because I thought maybe somehow she could help everyone, you know.
We're also talking to them about stepping in if Southern California Gas won't do the right thing. But when you come to that meeting Tuesday, bring your children.
Okay.
Right, okay.
The press is going to be there. If we can get Robert Kennedy there, then the magnitude of it is even greater. This will be a media contest to force them to do it. Erin Brockovich, I'm glad she's here. She brings a lot of attention. You know, I mean, it's a good thing. What we're planning to do is, however it filters out with the other law firms, just work with them. But they need to be working now.
Now,
It's,
yeah,
it's,
every single day I get anxiety.
oh, I'm sorry, I took too much time. Never give the microphone to a lawyer. Okay, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to help you with them. And I hope to see you
Excuse
Tuesday.
me, I'm sorry.
Okay, so again, the Tuesday event,
One question.
we're gonna do Q&A right now.
One second.
Okay.
While he's up there,
Yeah,
clearly experienced, clearly blood and Brian, which is great.
yeah.
What is the specific strategy in a real way? Because we've been to all these meetings and it's fantastic, but
Absolutely.
a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of whatever. I would love, I'm sure other people
Okay,
would
great.
as well,
So-
your specific step-by-step strategy, exactly what are we doing from now, you know, obviously in the ideal world, you know, what do you do?
Great, so we're gonna take that answer, and I wanna open this up for 10 minutes of Q&A because we do have a packed agenda. So we're gonna do 10 minutes, I'm gonna time it, so we're fair here. And then they will be here all day. So you guys can definitely come up and ask questions after, and that's why they brought their whole team here, so we're very grateful to that. So I'm going to press start on the timer and we'll take questions.
So the step-by-step strategy, we have started with the help of the community. As Rex mentioned, we sent a letter to the Division of Oil and Gas asking to cease to disclose the chemicals, because you do those two things, we're going to, one, stop any further, hopefully stop some of the migration, but two, know what's in the air so that we can figure out where it goes, because chemicals are a certain weight and travel a certain distance. So all you add is the weather patterns, and you're going to know those answers of the risks to your health. So it should be real simple. So that's where we started. We filed a lawsuit to start to protect the rights on the property issues, and we're now in the process of trying to put together a coalition of lawyers, because what we want to do is hopefully force the government to require relocation, working with realtors, so that we can start putting together families into comparable housing, because we think there's 3 things we have to take care of before we just fight things out in the courtroom. And that is your housing, right? Your school, and your health. So those are the priorities we're putting on, is housing, school, health. So our
What way are you
first,
legally addressing the school issue?
what's that?
In what way are you legally addressing the school issue? What are you doing?
We're working on retaining case managers that can help on all 3 fronts. In a normal PI case, you have case managers who manage what's going on in your personal injury and what's going on. The same kind of thing will be happening here, but we will have case managers focusing on housing, right, education, and health. With the education, there's going to be some ways we're going to be trying to reach out to LAUSD and other, to figure out how we can work together as a community to protect
Well,
the
I'm sorry.
education.
So how do we reach out to them in the form of, let's sue them for being negligent about the children and the fact that they basically were asleep for a month and a half and haven't done anything? Why are we not immediately litigating the school district right now without any kind of delay?
Right.
I get the case manager,
This is cool.
why not
And
take
if we
that
got to
road?
be test on Friday, they don't get to make it up. Quarter inch, because there's a math test, and the teacher told all the kids, if you're not here on Friday to take the math test, there will be no makeup. It's 20% of the math grade for 7th grade.
Yeah, the school district has had.
You know, I found the best way to lose a lawsuit is to not have an option when we sue them, to not have a remedy. You follow me?
No.
Well, say I go into court, we add to our lawsuit the school issue, and we ask for an order from the court that they bus these children to another district. They come in and say, we're not able to accommodate. The judge is going to find a way not to do it. That's why this is a legal and political and criminal solution. It's going to take all 3 working together to make it happen. Now, what I'm hoping is that the gas company is going to recognize we are going to shut them down. If they want to do that, and I think the court eventually will, I mean, there's just no conceivable way in America they will allow that poison to continue to seep into your homes and not have a remedy. But I want them to act now. And I'm hoping that once they recognize that they're staring down the barrel of criminal charges, they're staring down the barrel of, I mean, this could kill that company, that they will come to the table now. That's what I'm hoping for. Can I promise you that's gonna happen? I can't. Can I promise you that they're scared to death? I can. They are. But you see the problems that you have to encounter? What I don't want to do is come here and overpromise something to you and tell you, I'm going to have the judge do this, and then for 10 minutes you're here. And I know that may not happen. This is all very tenuous. I think we're ahead of the curve. I think we eventually win. But can I tell you we're going to win today? I can't. Do I want to win today? I do. Because what I want that court to do is do everything possible to stop the damage happening. And we should prioritize it. It should be children first, older people second. I guess I'm an older person now.
All right, I saw a question right here. You want to stand up and be loud?
I was just asking, what's the time frame on that? I mean,
On what?
on getting us relocated? I mean, what is our immediate action for that? Because everyone's promising the same thing of like, all right, you know, we have to wait this out. I have small children. A lot of people do. I have an illness. A lot of people do. This is not just something we can sit on and say, okay, we have to wait for this judge to have this process. We need something now. I mean, bottom line is, we need relocation now.
I need for them to, I wish it was fair. I need for them to have ignored the demand, which they have.
My
Now we
family
can
of
move
six
them.
that live in a hotel room.
I agree.
For
I agree. We've got all kinds of meetings in work this week to see if we can get them to come to the table and mitigate it, or to have other companies, I mean, they're gonna have to pay this eventually, so it's like a secured debt. There's all kinds of things we could do in that regard, right? I will know more by the end of the week if we have other people willing to do it.
That's more acceptable answer than, you know, than the legal process that we've been hearing.
I'm doing that too. You know, we're the only ones that are actually in the process and got the deadlines going. But I gotta wait for the deadlines to pass, you know, for the legal process. But I think there's also this other solution that could work. One of the things I'm hoping to have is a doctor that can, in the press, in front of the media, explain exactly why this is so damaging to our children.
I can help with that. Okay, I saw a hand back there, the gentleman, and then I saw the woman, and then I saw you. So if we can get to all of you in this time frame, let's do it. Yes.
I hear the planning, what their scope is, in terms of what they're planning to do if they do this, if they do that. What is the time frame? What is the timeline of these so-called planning or milestones of event in your case? Because I see this, you're saying relocation, we're going to fight for housing, we're going to fight for their health. I don't see this case to be, like the gentleman mentioned, a year, next year. I mean, this is a long-term case.
And I agree.
So if you're asking me, I need to know, is there a milestone in terms of what we're going to be relocating to my house?
I can tell you the next milestone is we have to file for a writ of mandate because they haven't agreed to all those things we've asked for.
Yeah, but I
When
need
do we
to
get to do
get an
that?
idea as to what your strategy is and what your
I agree.
timeline is.
Let me answer that.
As to how are we benefiting, how am I supposed to be planning my family, my house, how do I need to focus myself? Because I know it's easier said than done. But at the same time, I need to kind of foresee the timeline in terms of, okay, this thing may take 6 months, this thing may take 1 year, okay, this case may run 2 years. Well, let's try to get the gas company on board within the next 6 months to see if
Right.
he's going to.
All right, let me answer your question. We're filing for the writ on Friday because that's when the time limit runs. All right? We're going to do everything at the first legally appropriate time we can do it. But what that really is doing is just putting pressure on them.
I understand the pressure.
Okay.
I want to hear. I don't answer the question.
And I'm trying to give you, I can tell you when we file. We will file Friday for the writ of mandate. The solution is going to come outside the court if we get it done quickly. Now, keep in mind, all of you, there is no rocket science to this. If you relocate, you will get that money back. There isn't any question about that. And that's why I think we could leverage that into getting third parties to come in and help you relocate if Southern California Gas doesn't. The upside of that is it would be more expensive for Southern California Gas if that occurs. Hopefully those discussions will take place this week. Can I tell you it will? I can't.
Part of the reason that when Rex is saying hopefully this week is that we would like to see if the government will act honorably and step in to protect the community. And if they do that, that should expedite the solution. If the solution is litigation, that could take a year minimally. And that's not good for the community. So we're trying to walk into new waters to try to bring resolution sooner through non-litigation processes and get the government to step in to protect the community. And that's the purpose for, it's not intentionally vague, because if we're just doing litigation, it's years. So let's see what we can do from the political conduit, and that's why we said Save Porter Ranch and Food and Water Watch are so important to join.
So, actually, no, wait. Sorry, we have a stack going, so I don't want to jump out of order and be fair here. We only have time in this section for one more question. I know this is a really big, important issue.
Well, I've been coming to these meetings and I have the right to just say what I need to say.
Actually,
I think that's wonderful that you're focusing on the government. And you know what? Instead of going through all these other places, when you go to get a job, you focus on the one you want and you don't let up. You email them, you call them, you thank them for interviews. You guys need to focus on the government. I think that's the first time I've heard it. And I think that's the way we have to go. We have been going through this for 4 months. All our questions are going to come back to the same thing. When is it going to end? We're going to die by the time it ends. So focus on the damn government.
all right, and then, sorry, y'all, this is like, we need to get started. All right, and then we'll take that question, and then we're going to move on.
Understand this. You want this to be fixed tomorrow? The governor has the power to do that. We have sued the governor for racketeering over these oil drilling and over the contamination of our water supply. And that case is progressing in Sacramento. You have 2,000 people there Saturday with red shirts on. This thing gets fixed tomorrow. That means you have to organize. We are not doing this for you. Understand that. We are doing this with you. We are partners with you on this. You can be a partner and we'll succeed. You can step back and let us do it. It'll take you. Fair enough?
Yes. Awesome, and we're going to take you, and then we're going to move on to the next section, and you guys are all awesome and beautiful people. We're going to make this work. All right.
Can you?
Relocation, I don't think that housing is being very cooperative for the past 2 weeks. We've been trying to find them for a place to relocate, so they found something in Burbank, and I'm saying, I'm sorry, I need something in Northridge. Then they come up with the payment. She's like, oh, why don't you find something on your own? So now for the past 2 weeks, my husband and I have been calling every apartment available, every building available, going and looking at places, because I just like, it's comparable housing, right? But it's not hitting it. So finally we find a 2-bedroom apartment and we have to agree to it. It's not at a very convenient location. I'm not saying it's not the best possible location available. How do we deal with that?
Well, let's be clear what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about price comparable. I'm talking about the physicality of it. It has to be a house that's comparable to what you have now, regardless of how much it costs. That's what they're required to do. Now, if we could get that process going, you really think it's going to be that difficult for people not to want to give you that housing? Yes, it's going to raise the cost of housing. Too bad. You did not do this. They did this. And they did it to you. Okay? I mean, I know that's not a satisfactory